A lot of people ask me, sometimes with curiosity and at times condescendingly, why do you keep going back to the mountains? I honestly don't have any answers to that question. Probably it is true for these high places. Maybe at times it's the pleasure of enduring pain and going beyond your limits. Importantly, it's the feeling that in a world which on its face practically is filled with duality of pain and pleasure, of rights and wrongs, of silent pondering and mad rushes, that even barely breathing could just feel alright. June of 2018, after a long hiatus from the mountains due to hectic work, cancelled mountain trips, chaos and surprises, I returned to the mountains, to the place I love the most, the Himalaya. This time it was to the Nanda Devi East, Hardeol and Tirsuli base camps. The Nanda Devi sanctuary is closed for civilian access by the Indian government, rumored to be because of a lost nuclear power surveillance device planted by the CIA to monitor the Chinese at the heights of Cold War in 1960s. While the inner sanctuary remains closed, I decided to reach the base camp from the eastern side with my mountain buddy Mohan Danu. This route requires days of strenuous walk from the foothills of the tinsel town of Munsiari to the quaint villages of Mardoli, Pachu and Kanagar. The same trail also takes one to the village of Meelam, which has a namesake glacier, further to which are the base camps for Hardeol and Tirsuli peaks. The quiet mountain landscapes change from dense temperate to barren high altitude almost drastically as one moves from Leelam to Bogdiar and further to Rilkot, Barfu and Meelam villages. All through the trek, one is accompanied by the Gori Ganga river, which originates from the Meelam glacier and fed by other surrounding glaciers of Pachu, Barfu, Ralam and many others. Having paid reverence to the mighty mountains of Tirsuli and Hardeol, I headed towards the Nanda Devi base camp, passing through the Bhotia villages of Kanagar and Pachu. While the villages were eerily deserted and the homes dilapidated, there were still few families which came back every year to farm during the monsoon season and run kitchen for the handful trekkers in this remote region. The clouds played spoil sport all day as we pitched camp and prepared meals for our hungry stomach, having reached Nanda Devi base camp. In the late evening, I sat down on a rock facing the mountain in the inclement weather near the glacier, trying to gather what the quiet mountain had to say. I silently prayed to the Nanda Devi, which was still hidden in mist and cloud. Chewing on the thoughts about the book Quiet by Susan Cain that I was reading on the trail, the book perfectly explained the biased dichotomy of our society, where the shy and quiet are considered the less privileged and weak. How we have transformed into a society with a culture of personality and no longer a culture of character. All this in the current moment made so much sense and relatable with Nanda Devi herself. Nothing to take away from the revered yet branded peak of Mount Everest, where the Westerners and the tourists flock to gain fame and media attention. Nanda Devi is everything opposite to it. Surrounded by mighty peaks and rock walls of over 5,500 meters, it is said it's easier to reach North Pole than to enter the Nanda Devi sanctuary. Nanda Devi doesn't want any attention. And the inaccessibility makes it generally tough for the frivolous tourist to even wander close, except for some arduous trekking. I sleep with these thoughts as I put down the book and switch off my headlamp. Woken up by the feeble beeps of my watch alarm at 4:30 a.m., I stepped out of my tent. There were mist and clouds all over with near zero visibility. Inconsolable, I slipped back into my sleeping bag, trying to decipher. Was it collective karma of everyone at the base camp? Was it just the quiet and shy mountain playing out itself? Or was it just that scientifically we were in a wrong season, very close to the monsoons? Yet, as the clouds cleared, the goddess blessed us by making herself visible. Struck with awe and grounded by the humility of Ma Nanda Devi, I stood there for a while, appreciating the grandeur and quietness of the mountain. Nanda Devi did not have to be there or blow the trumpet of its presence. It was just there. In a society which boasts and rewards the outgoing, socially confident, demonstrative, where marketing is paramount and loudness prevails, Nanda Devi stood there quietly and alone, away from the spotlight, surrounded by other mighty Himalayan peaks, yet distinctly noticeable, charmingly beautiful, empathetic, unfazed by our presence, yet granting our secret wishes with her quiet demeanor. As I bid goodbye to the Mother Mountain, gathering blessings and some good vibes, returning to civilization and slowly slipping back to the routine, Nanda Devi taught some important lessons. In a world which pretends to seek balance of the yin and the yang, the good and the bad, the light and the dark, and the medium and the message, one must realize that people followed Moses, the liberator of Jews, not because he spoke the words well, but because his words were thoughtful. Leadership does not merely mean chest thumping, delivering passionate speeches with eloquence, or grabbing limelight, as the society makes us to believe. It is also about emotive thinking, silent work, quiet reflections, and humility.